Good behavior begins now. Somebody added that to our, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Somebody added that to our personal meeting. Of course, I forgot to put it in the agenda, so I just uploaded a new agenda 2 minutes ago.
Hey.
Well, I thought that's pretty good.
You trying to get on?
Or no, going. Yeah, I guess. Pretty good.
I think it's just-
I'll see my proper spot, I guess.
George.
How's it going?
Hey, how we doing?
Good. Howdy. Ah.
Man,
Yeah.
I was right, Luke.
Well, I didn't get your nameplate out.
Those are just.
Were you right about Elliot?
we weren't sure if you were gonna be here or not. And you've been somewhat recently, so I didn't think you had anything new for us.
Go going on?
It's not that good. Yeah. A quarter invoice.
It's difficult. More exciting.
Yeah.
Officially. I do a loop around the fill days. Half on. That's what I figured. Then it's about 10. Unless. Yeah. Wednesday's not gonna feel great. No. Really felt like it would be like, oh. Somebody was fine. Yeah. Someone was telling me the 40-day forecast, we're only expected to have a couple of days on. So I'll take that if it's true. Or it's a 40-day forecast.
It's pretty quiet for this many humans to be in one spot and not hear anything.
Again, I was not been in the absence before the meeting.
Okay. If we don't have quorum, it's not your fault.
It's not entirely not my fault, but mostly not my fault.
I was trying to give you an out.
Offer to drive and pick everything up.
Way too much responsibility. I like to think I can take it. Then I go home.
Such an incident. It's the take our time. We got time.
Yeah, You're supposed to get with this stuff. I'm gonna get credit. Oh, yeah, okay.
Wednesday, maybe.
Is it Wednesday?
I don't
I think it's the one time it's supposed to start.
It's supposed to be cold again tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow?
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else coming with the cold. It's
40% chance of snow tomorrow night.
40%.
Yeah, I saw what I see. WHO's headline was it's gonna be 80 degrees colder. It's gonna feel like it's 80 degrees colder Wednesday morning than it did this afternoon.
When, that's Wednesday, so Wednesday,
Yeah.
alcohol. Andrew, I think, oh, there's no pair of shorts.
I'm taking full advantage while there's no snow back.
I did. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, did you see Caleb's email? He's saying Zoom needs a passcode to log in.
Add it to the agenda on the website. We might be getting. So this is my. Can you email them back? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. Nobody heard that.
Shane. Agenda. Elliot, is this your work? I don't know what that is. All the prints. Is that the Warrior Run Estate?
That's where I sit. That's been sitting there for 2 meetings at least. Yeah, I just don't think,
I mean, maybe that was something Stephanie left from the end of the year, maybe.
Well, thanks, George.
so I look at it every council, I'll sit there and look at it for a little bit and realize it's the same one that was.
We're waiting for you to get some good ideas on.
Maybe they want me to pick it up and throw it away. Figure I might zoom the camera. So no, I'm not doing that right. At least I think so. Because I see other people that I see, but I don't. Unless I'm excluding them for some. If it's your camera, so I don't feel like. Anyway.
That far?
So,
Yeah.
wait, my little people.
Are you on right now?
Well,
Just generally.
just a city computer, but I haven't. They showed me the first time. Ignorant. So, yeah. Maybe the next. Yeah, which is. Oh, okay. I've seen her. What? In general.
And that's why we're doing special.
Okay, okay. I got it marked on my for Thursday council meeting. Well, not that soon.
Are we all good technology wise? Everybody ready? I will now call to order the February 26, 2024 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Its time is 5:45 PM. Hillary, would you call the roll, please?
Thompson.
Here.
Steiger.
Here.
Samuelson.
Here.
Forrest.
Here.
Grant. Caldwell.
Yeah, here.
Reagan.
Here. Item number 3 is the approval of tonight's agenda. Any changes to tonight's agenda from any of the commission members? Hearing nothing, I'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Thompson motions.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item number 4 is the approval of the January 22nd, 2024 minutes of the regular Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Any revisions or additions to the January 22nd minutes? Hearing nothing, I'll entertain a motion to approve the January 22nd, 2024 minutes.
Forced motions.
A second.
Samuelson will second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'd like to welcome all of the guests that have joined us in person here tonight, and as well as on the Zoom meeting. Are there any members of the public here in person who wanted to make a comment on an item that is not on tonight's agenda? Any members of the public on Zoom who wanted to make a comment not about an item not on tonight's agenda? Hearing nothing, we'll move on to our first substantive motion. Item number 6, request from Hughesman Development for approval of the final plat of Hughesman addition to Hughes Century Crossing. Elliot, would you brief us on this item, please?
Yep, so the request is for the approval of a minor subdivision. A minor subdivision is a plat that goes straight to final plat without any public infrastructure. That would be roads, pipes, etc. This is related to the site plan that you guys approved sometime towards the end of last year for the hotel project on lot 1 on the final plat. So this is just taking that piece of land, splitting it into 2 parcels. We don't have a development proposal for lot 2 as of now, but you guys have reviewed and approved the hotel site plan on lot 1. This just establishes the ingress egress easements for the most part and some other utility alignments. But again, all of that's to be built, and that's pretty much it. Happy to answer any questions. I know we have somebody on behalf of the project here tonight as well.
Any comments on behalf of the applicant tonight? Any questions or deliberation from the commission? Hearing nothing, I will entertain a motion to approve the final plat of Hughesman addition to Hughes Century Crossing. Excuse me.
Samuelson on motion.
Steiger second.
Hillary, would you call the roll, please?
Forrest.
Aye.
Caldwell. Caldwell.
Oh, aye.
Thompson.
Aye.
Steiger. Samuelson.
Aye.
Reagan.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. I forgot to ask for public comment on that one, if there was anyone who. Sorry. Item number 7 is a request from HRC Norwalk LLC for approval of Holland Point preliminary plat 4. Elliot, would you brief us on this item, please?
Yep, so this is a partial replat of an area that had already been preliminary platted. Just to quickly try to go over the platting history on this. If I can get this up now. So the western portion of this outlined area was what contained plat 1. It kind of encompasses the same area as the original preliminary plat. Hubble came back with a second preliminary plat to cover most of where you see paved roads in the aerial image here. A third preliminary plat was brought to us for the area south of plat 2. And then they're coming back with a partial replat of this northwestern part of Holland Point. The contents of the plat are more or less the same as originally proposed. This is the lot layout here. They've elected to go with a slightly different street arrangement. But it's largely the same. I believe Cantor Avenue is not originally a cul-de-sac, but that's the most substantive street change on here. They've still got the trail corridor running east-west and also one running north-south up to Beardsley Street. As well as the creation of an actual lot of record for this area, which you guys saw the PUD amendment for, I believe, at the last meeting. The one with the townhomes and the apartment pieces. So the only other major change on this that I should mention is that they moved the clubhouse from what is now lots, I believe, 121 and 120 up to lot 2. So that pretty much covers it. I'm happy to answer any questions for staff. We do have Caleb Smith on the Zoom for this project as well.
Hi, Caleb. Did you want to make any comments on this item?
No, I don't. Elliot did a good job kind of summarizing it. Again, really just revisioning that Holland Point Plat 2 area into a product type we think is going to fit better with the overall townhome concept. And in response to the clubhouse moving from 121, 122 area over to lot number 2, that actually was a result of some discussions we had with a consultant who's been working with us on this project, suggesting that a clubhouse at the entry is a much more desirable feature for these kinds of communities. And honestly, after the city got done widening Beardsley and making that intersection look so good, when you get at that intersection look, it's going to be plainly visible from right there, which should hopefully help attract people into the community and kind of be a nice entrance feature coming in. So other than that, that's all I have. Certainly happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thanks, Caleb. Any members of the public who wanted to speak on item number 7 here in person? Anyone on the Zoom? Any questions or deliberation by the commission? Hearing nothing, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Holland Point preliminary plat 4.
Thompson motion.
4 seconds.
Hillary, would you call the roll, please?
Caldwell.
Aye.
Thompson.
Aye.
Steiger.
Aye.
Samuelson.
Aye.
Forrest.
Aye.
Reagan.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. Item number 8 is a request from Jerry's Homes Inc. for approval of the preliminary plat and site plan of Hackney Hills Plat 1. Elliot, would you brief us on this item, please?
Yep, so save for Jeff, this should look pretty familiar to everybody out here. You guys previously recommended approval of a prelim plat encompassing pretty much this exact same footprint. So from the top down, not a whole lot has changed. I mentioned in the staff report that there's one fewer lot over from this area. North is to the left in this orientation, by the way. We lost that lot in this plat because of public works maintenance distances on those incomplete streets, on the street stubs. But from the top down, this is identical basically to what you guys saw before. The main thing that we were waiting to receive before issuing full approval from you guys in city council was the architectural element, which we received, and it's now part of this item. On review, it is compliant with our architectural. Oh no, Did it not save in here? Alright, okay, hang on. Is compliant with our architectural regs, which is good. Just build the elevations up here. Oops, that's the full one. So. These would be the row home elevations. Main requirement here is 3 different material types, which they have. And same thing on the condominiums, so. Given that, our recommendations for approval. The Greenland plat and site plan. We needed to wait on the architectural elevations because that's a site plan submission requirement. So you guys already pretty much approved the, like I said, the plan view of the Greenland plat. Yeah, that's all I've got. Happy to answer any questions. We do have folks in the room tonight on behalf of this project also.
I'd add to that just quick, Elliot, on the jump back to the townhome elevations. I don't know how much it was discussed at the P and Z when we were going through the PUD. But one of the discussions through the council was having the front of the buildings of the townhomes along Beardsley be kind of the nicer front, not the back of things. So that front elevation is what would be that kind of Beardsley frontage. And you can see that in the layouts as well, but to just give you an idea what that Beardsley look would look like.
Would anyone on behalf of the applicant like to make any comment on this item tonight?
Jennifer Ellison, Jerry's Homes, 3900 West Ton Parkway, West Des Moines. Good evening, commissioners. Thank you for taking the opportunity tonight to look at our site plan and preliminary plat, as well as our final elevations. We've been working closely with staff just to update the plans accordingly to meet the requirements of the city. We've addressed some challenges that we faced with the site, and I think we've come up with some good solutions. So I'm here to answer any questions that you have. We also have our engineer here this evening as well, if you have any design questions at all.
Thank you. Any comments, questions, deliberation by the commission?
So I'll start. So Luke, you mentioned that what we're seeing right here on elevations is what you'll see from Beardsley.
Correct.
So then Elliot, if you go back to the top view you just had just a second ago, that one. So outcrop, our outlot Y will separate Beardsley from that view.
Correct. So they'll be kind of similar to the Shadow Creek development where there's a detention basin and then the townhomes. So they won't be like right up against Beardsley. They'll be separated by whatever the distance of that outlot is. So so there'll be some visual distance there. And then kind of the front door look of those buildings on the other side of that detention basin.
One of the feedback that we've received from our residents on the north side of Beardsley is, you know, is there anything we can do to, or as far as like a berm with trees, just to help provide that same, as much as possible, that same country feel that the people north of Beardsley have today after all these townhomes and condos are built. Is there any, it looks like we actually have a retention basin, which is the exact opposite of a berm.
Yeah, well, Elliot can get through more of the details, or the applicants could, but page 30 of the site plan or the packet details what a planting would be like on the north side of that basin. So that it kind of becomes a berm and goes down into the basin and then comes back up to the housing. And I believe that's just on the west side of their drive. I'm assuming that continues on along the east side as well. So, yeah.
And this matches kind of the concept that was in the preliminary plat that was kind of the consensus between
property owners and the neighbors to the north, correct?
Yes.
Elliot, more of a concept question. So you've sent us a number of different cities throughout the world of cool walking features and how to bring the city, more walk bike friendly. And one of the things that I love about these preliminary designs that are coming to us is we're getting more high density housing, which helps all of us as far as taxes. Like, for record, if you don't understand that high density housing helps all of us as homeowners, it does. My question for you is, how does this help us from your concepts you've been sharing with us about now we have all these high density housing way out on Beardsley that's not anywhere close to walking distance from our town center?
I think part of it just has to do with the availability of land and the willingness of not just this body, but also city council to be creative with the types of proposals that get approved. So we put this in a plan unit development. So conventional zoning wouldn't have permitted this with just regular R3 and R4. So using the PUD tool in our toolbox is an important way to do that. You just have to have people who have land available who are willing to sell, and then, we help make decisions on how it ultimately unfolds. I think one of the good things about this concept is you've got townhome and, if you will, R4 style, R3 with the condos, right on the trail. And I myself use that trail a couple times a week, biking to and from work, 12 miles each way. And so not always walkability necessarily, but having that artery, even though it may not be walking distance to the town center, certainly biking distance. So it's a little bit of an in-between in that regard, but it's hard to bridge that gap, right, when they're separated.
And the tricky thing with all of this is, there's the theory that we talk a lot about from the side, and then there's the implementing it into the real world and some of the things like that. So you often see these types of things in these smaller incremental steps of, yeah, we were not right there from a, walkability next to commercial and all that stuff, but we're getting more density to it. We're adding more people into a space. We've got the trail there. We've got a good trail network plan throughout this kind of whole undeveloped area of the city that will come along incrementally as other development happens. And, the hope being that as the community grows out, this type of density maybe makes more commercial viable down off the 50th, which may be a little bit closer. Maybe the S-curve area becomes more viable as this whole area develops. And, it's not always just about going back to Highway 28. And so then there's some of those other options, because that's really the two things you need for walkability is you need a way to walk around, and then you need something to walk to, right? And so that's what's hard in the suburban development sometime. And that's not this development. And certainly, we've got a lot of unique things with this one that go above and beyond, but it's just a tricky thing about being a suburb and trying to promote some of those things. So.
Is the trail always tied to a development like this? When you plan out future potential places for it to go, is it always tied to a development like this, or is it somehow zoned on its own?
So anytime we have a development go next to an existing street, it's the obligation of the developer to provide sidewalk. If it's along one of our trail corridors that's in our greenways or parks master plan, then they'd be required to upgrade that to trail width. We were able to get this installed ahead of time. So if they had been proposing this prior to the trail being installed, then yes, that would have needed to be part of the plan. So
One last question, and I'm done, Elliot. As far as parking spaces, are we good on number of parking spaces
yes,
for this? Okay.
Yeah.
Good. That's all I have.
Will the townhouses and condos have different color schemes, or will they all be that same color?
I would defer to the concept that was provided unless something changes down the road, which we would coordinate with the city.
kind of interesting, unique design choice. So it's a little different than what we've seen. A little bit darker than we've seen in the past, so I'll be interested to see what it,
It's
what it
not
looks
just
like.
brown.
Yeah.
Beige.
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 Suburban beige.
I like
White
it.
and black. They've done a lot of white and black lately. In developments.
Other questions or deliberation from the commission?
Yes.
Sure, George.
As a public, like, the one to the, directly to the east that's already existing. They're back. The townhomes, they back up to Beardsley, they don't have the front.
Yeah,
Was that a, like, let's not do that again type situation?
pretty much. Yeah,
Okay.
that was it when we were going through the PUD. That was a lot of discussion from the residents to the north were kind of disappointed in the look of those. And I think from Jerry's Homes perspective, they didn't even, I think, have to be like, oh yeah, we'll change. I think they wanted to do something nicer from just the product that they do. So it's always a tricky thing. And it's not just a townhome thing, but when you look at anywhere that has a house that backs up to a major road, we usually try to do these screen buffers, but they're never enough that they really block things. So you always see these big blank canvases of somebody's back of a house because it's just you don't do fancy stuff on the back of your house. It's where you save money, right? So in this scenario, they've taken a little bit different approach with that, and yeah, it will look nice.
Yeah, I haven't been by there. I haven't paid attention. I've been by there all the time, but I haven't paid attention to their trees. I know they were dying there for a while. I don't know if they replaced them or what's the rules on that? You're supposed to have plant so many trees on the berm or not the berm or the backside of the detention pond or whatever it is. Then if you don't water them, they die.
Yeah, so the landscaping plan that is in the, like this type of thing is part of the site plan that is supposed to be built. Not inch by inch, but they gotta have the right number of trees, right number of shrubs, etc. If they have dying plants, technically that's a zoning violation, so we try to keep up with that and have them replace those during respective planning cycles. And I've been in touch with the folks involved with that project on getting a plan in place to get those replaced in the spring.
Okay.
But apparently coniferous trees are doing very poorly throughout the metro, is what I've heard. So it's not unique to that development, or bad string of luck with pine tree plantings.
It's our Norwalk clay, George.
It's been dry, that's for sure.
Alrighty, if there's nothing else from the commission, I will entertain a motion to approve the preliminary plat and site plan of Hackney Hills Plat 1.
One second.
Hillary, would you call the roll, please?
Caldwell.
Aye.
Thompson.
Hi.
Steiger. Samuelson.
Aye.
Forrest.
Right.
Reagan.
Hi. Thank you, everyone. Item number 9 is a city council update from George. Thank you.
Keep it quick, maybe, I'll look to Luke to help me out. The council made the adjustment through, I think, the Jim, the attorney took a look at it. And just how we switch things around, and maybe you've gone over this with everybody already, but I'm an amateur here, so I'll just throw it out there. I'll pick on that one that was out there by my place on the guy who was going with the sports kind of training area.
On the two rezoning
The
things. Yep.
rezoning is bring the rezoning first.
Yep,
And
so
go to PZ as opposed to the opposite
Yep.
way. That was the only thing that was coming up, and
I can run through the philosophy, I guess, of that a little bit here. Sorry, it's taking my brain a minute to catch up. I'm like, what did we change? I'm thinking of a project. So rezonings can happen two ways. One would be the city deciding to initiate a rezoning because someone wants to do a project that we like, right? Or just that we want to consider. It doesn't even have to be something we like, but a property owner comes and asks the city to consider that rezoning. The city technically has the ability to say no to that. We've never in my time ever done that. We've never had a situation where we didn't just take an application and take it through the process. So what we used to do would be we'd get an application in and we would put a consent item on council to set a public hearing. And that kind of started the process. I would set a public hearing, and then we knew before that public hearing happened, we had to have a hearing with you all, to get your input, get your recommendation, and we move through that process. With Jim Doherty on board as our full-time city attorney now, he's been going through not just zoning policies, but lots of different of the city's rules and how we do different things and procedures, and just shoring some things up. And he has asked that we no longer do a public hearing of setting of a public hearing, but to do an item called initiating a rezoning. So it's instead of a consent item on council, it's a full-on discussion on council for them to talk about the proposal. And if they want to proceed with a council initiated rezoning, or if they want to not do that. In cases where they don't do that, a property owner can still have the city begin the rezoning process. They have to go out and get a petition from 50% of the property owners surrounding their change area. So they have to get buy-in from their neighbors. And if they do that, and they submit that petition to us with 50% of the adjacent property owners saying, yeah, we're willing to have that zoning be changed, then council doesn't get a choice anymore. The city's going to consider that rezoning. We take it through the process. We do it like normal. You guys have your hearing, council has their hearing, and we move forward. So it's a relatively big change in how council sees anything. It's not that big of a change in how we'll do most of our procedures going forward, because 99% of the time, I'll say staff's recommendation to council will be, let's go ahead and go through the process. Like, I'd rather take people through the process, take the time, hear everybody's opinions, everybody's things, let the applicants give their full spiel to council, than not doing that. So, but yeah, so that'll be a little bit change to everything. And
I think the
Yeah.
philosophy behind it was, it looks like the council is reaching out, grabbing them and bringing them in, and go, hey, we want to change that zoning. And as opposed to from the landowner.
Yep.
How do they choose who they seek out? Is it just the first 50% that they ask, or are they asking everyone?
The code just says that they have to have 50% of the landowners within 200 feet. So I guess if that's the first 50%, then yeah, then they wouldn't have to ask everybody else. Everyone else would still get notified of the public hearing, and it doesn't guarantee that the city's going to change the process. It just says the city's going to do the process. So we're all talking about initiating rezoning. None of this is making a zoning change. None of it is all that. We still do that normal process. It's how do we start the process?
Is that unnecessarily cumbersome on the property owner that wants to change his zoning?
Not necessarily, because that's the rules it's always been. It's just how we interpret the rules, right? How we'd always done it in the past was we have a zoning application. Someone fills out an application, that's a request for the city to do that zoning. The setting of the public hearing was viewed as the city initiating that rezoning process. So now we're taking it one step further and having a discussion about, should we set that public hearing or not?
So am I right in that every rezoning prior to coming to us will go to council first and then they will refer it to us?
That's what was happening anyway. It just wasn't having a big discussion before it came to you. Everything that you guys seen, basically since Elliot's been here, it wasn't always the case. When I started, I was talking about incremental changes, right? We've been slowly changing things since I started. When I started, you got an application and I took it to P&Z and then it went to council. Then we're like, okay, we really need to have the council be setting public hearings for these, started setting public hearings for them. And that was kind of viewed as a de facto council initiated rezoning, because they didn't want to hear it, then they wanted to set a public hearing. Well, the question became, did they really understand that they were initiating a rezoning when they approved those public hearing requests? So we're just being more upfront with that.
Next stupid question. If it goes to council and council discusses it before it comes to us, what's the point of us even discussing it at that point in time?
They're not really discussing what, and this is gonna be some nuance as we work through it. Because they really shouldn't be discussing too much about the details of it and what they want or not. They should just be discussing, in general, does this is this something we want to consider changing our zoning for?
It's not gonna happen.
But it should, and I'll keep beating that. Drum,
Sorry,
right?
I've known enough councils and I've known them long enough, but that's not how it's gonna work.
Yeah.
So.
It-
Play devil's advocate.
Yeah, I would agree with that one too, but.
Yeah,
Seems,
we'll continue to iterate it and work through it.
seems cumbersome and it seems unnecessary, but.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll work through them as we have those
I don't
those
know.
potential issues and, you know. I think there are still details that you guys will get to review as part of that when if they choose to send one to P and Z for further study and review and all of that. There's obviously a lot of details that will pop up because of that. So,
zoning change only,
yep.
so.
Which is about 90% of the cool stuff we get to do.
Yeah.
And about 90%.
I think what- I think-
We have.
My interpretation, I'll throw my interpretation out.
go ahead.
but Was the thing that happened toward your end with the circle.
All the
With
apartments.
the apartments. I think it gave the impression that the city was promoted it from the get-go.
But anybody that pays attention knows that's not what happened, but the problem is that 99% of the public doesn't pay attention.
Yeah,
And I guess the city went out of their way to publicize that and to know what was going on. It's like every rezoning ever. People don't know about it until it's happened,
Yeah.
right? And they go, what the hell's going on here? And it's like, well, shit, if you paid attention for the last 6 months, you know what's going on.
yeah.
It's not that hard,
Yeah.
but
So, well, like I said, it's gonna be new. There's gonna be a lot of discussion. I think even in the two that we did, there's a lot of discussion on the first one. And then when we talked about the second one, it was like, oh, but wait, we don't really need to have a lot of discussion about this because we just want to decide, should we just say go forward and bring all of the details for it to P and Z for them to consider? And so, I mean, I see it taking a lot of different shapes, you know. In PUD standpoints, like I don't expect there to be like a fully written PUD ready for council at the time to initiate a PUD with zoning, right? So that's gonna be a situation where you guys will still have a lot of input and everything. I don't know, maybe there's less input if it's to go from ag to R1. I mean, but also if they're like, yeah, it's okay, we're gonna probably be like, yeah, it's okay, because it's our thing, you know. Those ones we tend to not have a lot of comment on anyway, unless somebody doesn't want more single family in their backyard. And then we have the public comment, but
Yeah, I didn't interpret it, trying to take anything from P and C, I think it was more. Just the appearance of this, it was created by the city to change the zoning.
I'll make Jim come defend his reasoning for that too, if you want me.
I'm already haggling the city manager.
Okay.
I'll start with that.
I'm all about people owning their work, so we can have Jim own up to his work on that one. He might be in there now. He's probably hiding in his office. Talking about me.
I fully support what you're doing here, because that was my question when I first came in, I go, why would, you know, if the city council would just do what they want, why would the P and Z, if I was you guys, I'd just say, well, just shove it to them, they're gonna make it do what they want anyway. Well, it's not the case.
That's what it sounds like.
It's sure what it sounds like.
I think it's more consent agenda, actual agenda type situation. We'll see how it plays out. I just brought it up as the liaison.
Yeah.
Sounds like Jason Brown's board in city council.
I guess if you would take back to the council, George, that, you know, it would be our preference that, you know, we still get to have a lot of say and input in those things that I think
Oh.
would kind of help,
No, I don't know.
help everyone.
I don't think that's the intention. I
Sure.
might be just misstating it. Or I think it's just more of a. It's looking like I'm going out and finding somebody to change their zoning and go, here, I'll present it.
Whereas we're actually being reactionary to a request that's brought to us.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Any further update from you, George?
I'll stop there.
Can we talk about golf carts again? How
No,
about ATVs or 4-wheelers?
also no. Not germane to planning and zoning.
item number 10 is our economic development update. Holly, what do you have for us tonight?
Just a couple changes since the last update. I just want to make sure you guys are being kept in the loop. The first one is really on the activity that's happening south of Delaware. So the area that we're calling our Southwest Industrial Corridor. The certified site application is on a hold until June. There were a couple of final pieces that we were not able to acquire from the land ownership group yet, but we're still working towards that. So we will resubmit in June. It has not slowed down any of the interest in that area, and it's highly likely that that land, a lot of the land down there could go long before it's ever certified, which is not a bad thing. Because we have spent a lot of time, you know, getting all the engineering studies and everything done to prepare the land to be shovel ready. So that's really what the end user wants anyway. So it's just fine. But in terms of the Southwest Industrial Corridor and the things that are happening, you know, you've probably heard a lot of talk from us about really large projects and data center interest. We've had a lot of that over this last year. And so things are really starting to get pretty serious in terms of interest. And we do have some NDAs in place, but tomorrow we are meeting with our economic development group kind of as a quick urgent meeting because we don't have a meeting this Thursday because we don't have council. So we're going to meet and talk about a couple of potential ideas that will come back to you guys, will come back to council for city involvement to help with this. It's just an enormous project and there are a lot of pieces that have to fit together for it to work. And with these large projects, there's always a million ways that they can die, which you all know, before they get across the finish line. So we're going to do everything in our power to help make this work. Because even on the small end of the value of this, if just the smaller side of this comes through, it's about an $80 million taxable value. And that's about $3 million in new property taxes for just all our local entities, taxing entities. And the utility providers, you know, they keep relaying to us that we have one of 3 sites in the entire state of Iowa that can meet the utility needs of some of these mega users that are coming straight to them. So we're in a good position and we're kind of looking at that Southwest Industrial Corridor now as more of, maybe it's an industrial and data center corridor that we are preparing and positioning ourselves for, especially with the long-term plans to get us out to 35. So Megan, if you're unable to attend that tomorrow, feel free to appoint somebody, another commissioner, or ask somebody if they'd be interested
I'll be there.
to join in your place. If there's anybody, if there's a commissioner that's really interested in this type of work and what we're doing, you know, let me know. We can certainly get that Zoom link over to you. Just know that it will all be confidential. That being said, that's good news for us. A couple of updates on dates that are coming here in the next few months. So the grand opening of the field house is still planned for the end of April, and the Parks Department will be sending out some information about that, but that is the plan. They'll be in there in April and we'll be moving out of our building. I'll get to that in a second. And then as far as the hotel is moving along and their dates, everything's going really well with the Marriott. Obviously the Hilton True is moving along. And I'll keep saying this, Ryan, in public until your hotel is built. I am so glad that you guys are patient. And I've been working with this development group for a long time and they're an awesome group to work with. And we all know we have some land challenges in Norwalk. So sometimes those delays are out of the hands of the developer. So I'm glad you guys have a lot of commitment. So that's a good project. But we're kind of talking about hopefully doing maybe the groundbreaking in late spring or something like that if things go well. So, and then the Norwalk Central grand opening. So this is something else that if anybody's interested in being involved in some of this planning or helping with the overall grand opening that's coming up, we're planning on it being on July 4th. And we know that sounds a little bit crazy, but there's a few reasons for that. One would just be that a lot of people are in town. People are off work on that Thursday. And because it's at Norwalk Central, starting on Friday evenings, there's a lot of tournament activity and stuff going on with the sports campus. So we wanted to make sure that this was kind of a wide open blank slate to do whatever we want to out there. So we'll be doing the kind of unveiling of the Walk of Fame. Hopefully we'll have some of our celebrities back for that, some media attention, and maybe a few other either grand openings or groundbreakings in the area of other retail entity. So if anybody's interested in helping or serving on our kind of unofficial committee, that would be great. The sports developers or sports campus owners are offering up some of their turf space to do some community things, which would be kind of fun. And the chamber will have some music out there and some other cool stuff planned for that. So just keep that in mind with July 4th. And then for our building, so just an update on this, everything still has to go through council for kind of final approval and budget things coming up for the next couple council meetings. But what our plan is right now is, since the Parks Department will be moving out of our building in April, that leaves my little staff in there. Obviously, we don't need the whole building. I think initially we had planned on having the census team in there, and there may be some changes with that. But long story short, if we can get just everybody out of that building, by May, that would save the city some money. It would save us enough money actually, so that my team could get a part-time administrative specialist. And we're kind of looking at sharing a full-time position with fire department. They also need administrative help. So we're kind of looking at splitting that position. But again, that'll all have to go through council on final budget approval. But that's kind of the hope and the plan. And eventually my team will end up back here at City Hall. And so we're looking at potential just rearrangements and some changes that would happen at City Hall to add a few more office spaces. So we've all been working through that, but that's kind of preliminary plans right now, so you guys are aware. And then the tournaments at the Fairway Fields will start on March 15th. We've got some PSAs going out. Luke updated the traffic and parking maps, so that situation should be much better this year. But just so you're aware, there will be a lot of activity out there. And just spoke to Quick Start today. They're still planning on starting their work end of March, and hopefully they can be open by the end of summer, early fall. And then the developments in the Dunn Industrial Park, those are really kind of exceeding our expectations. So we're really happy about what's happening down there with all the different new projects. The contractor condominium project's pretty cool. Excited about that. We'll have a new development agreement, and we'll be announcing a national retailer hopefully next week. And I would say just keep an eye on KCCI and Channel 13. There's a lot of news coverage for Norwalk right now, just over the growth and new developments. The most interested points, I guess, that they're really focusing on are the turf fields and the Musco technology, the Amazon Go store, Mullets, obviously, Pin High Golf. There's a new spa planning to go out there, and there's just a lot of attention on the TPH Academy. And I know they've got a lot of things that they're still working through with Luke's team on TI and storm shelter things and all of that, but just the concept, just generally speaking, the concept to be in Norwalk is a really neat thing for us and a good opportunity. The other states that this TPH Academy is located in, they have professional sports teams that are connected to them. So it's just kind of a cool thing for us to be able to land here in Norwalk. So hopefully between them and our teams, everything gets worked out and they can get done out there what they need to get done. But other than that, I would just say if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask now or call me, or happy to meet anytime. So
Thanks, Holly.
Mhm.
Luke, update for us?
She stole all my thunder, so not sure what else to add other than that. Yeah, the tenant improvements for the Sportsplex building, we've not received those as permits yet, so hoping to get those soon so we can start reviewing them, so we can make reality what has been put in public, because we get nervous sometimes when things get put out there in public and they're not through the full city process, so that can be frustrating at times. So yeah, that's going on. Same thing with the census, as Holly mentioned a little bit. We did find an additional space for them, so that clears out. We were going to use the Park and Rec's office, so I guess and I guess maybe Jeff wasn't aware. So we're doing a special census in 2024 here to get a kind of mid-decade count, but we have to find office space for them. So excellent partnership with their schools continue. They were able to identify some spaces that they won't be using over the summer, and looks like that'll be a good office space for our census workers. To that effect, if you want to be a census worker, apply, please apply. Find someone to apply. Drag them to your computer and make them apply. We have 9 applicants and we're supposed to have 110. So
how many hours a week are you looking for somebody to do that?
it's 15 to 20 as a field rep. They'll hire 4 kind of more full-time 40-hour a week people, but even then we're talking 2 months time frame, 6 weeks. So great evening work. You get to set your hours. All you're really doing is walking around your neighborhoods, knocking on people's door. It works really great if it's people from their own neighborhood that they see walking dogs and stuff, so they're not all weirded out by these random people showing up in their neighborhoods. So if you know people that have some time during the summer, you gotta be 18. So you have to be old enough to do that. direct them to any of the multiple city Facebook posts. That would be great.
It's on the city homepage too.
Yep. So please apply. I'm to the point where I may be applying for it. So if you don't want me walking around your neighborhood knocking on doors, then yeah, apply.
Haven't posted to college job boards at all?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's hard getting people to apply for things. I think just across the board, we put some flyers in the food pantry, food boxes they hand out. We've done, city clerk sent out over 5,000 emails last week. We had census came in, they were in the water bill. Census came in and hosted a hiring event at the library. They had 4 people show up.
Hire some interns. Yeah, like $60 an hour. You're gonna work census all summer?
Yeah. That's essentially what they're doing. Yeah. I mean, so yeah, it's a thing.
Luke,
Um,
have you offered to all the Amazon delivery people a bonus to do this on?
That would be a
because
great
they
thing.
never
They're
practice
out in the neighborhoods, right? Just
Their door to Amazon, so just
Yep.
while they're there, hey, can I quick get some info? Awesome.
with Amazon on it.
Have them do it.
With a box of cows.
How do the scouts do it? Eagle Project.
Right them.
Last thing I just want to run through, I thought about this late in the day, and so I'm gonna send you a PDF later, so you can really look at it. It's a giant spreadsheet. There's nothing cool about it, so I apologize for that. But, we spent a lot of time this year with completing our comp plan last year. We really wanted to try to start pairing up those goals and objectives and the things that we say we're gonna do with our comp plan with the things the city's actually doing. So I spent some time over a couple weeks putting together a spreadsheet that paired up all of our CIP projects with all of our comp plan goals. It's out on the last, as part of the budget presentations at the last council meeting. So if you want to find it there, but just some quick things on that. We've got 68 strategies that were across 20 goals, and we had 94 capital improvement projects. If you're looking at that, just remember that not every goal really is something that has capital expenditure to it. Some of those goals are very more just high level. The city should do these things, and they're things that we don't have to spend money on to do. But it's kind of a pretty good indicator of what capital projects are advancing the most goals. So you can kind of look at that, but that's also not to say that there's not one capital project that's really important that only addresses one goal that's really important too. So we want to do that to see where we're at, see how we're addressing that stuff. And then we also want to start using those goals in our CIP projects in future years as ways to look at what projects we're proposing and what are they doing to address the goals, and just trying to really connect the two, and really demonstrate to our residents that the things we spend money on are things that advance the goals of the community as they were put out in that plan, which is supposed to be representative of the community. A couple high points on it. A lot of the goals and a lot of the projects, when you read through all that, you'll see that they're infrastructure based, because we spend lots of money on infrastructure, but they tend to either be one of two things. They're maintenance, because we're trying our best to maintain the things we have out there, or they're projects that are providing improvements for future growth and expansion. So all of the stuff that Holly works on with the industrial certified site, and then now the idea of the data center corridor and all that stuff. All the infrastructure that's out there already, we planned, 5 years ago. Now the infrastructure we're planning today, that's going to be for the growth in the next 5 years. And so it's really kind of those two different sides: maintain what we have, put together key infrastructure in place so that we can grow the community in the kind of commercial industrial way that we want to. So that's that. It's a fun spreadsheet. I'll send it out to you. I know you guys, if you can't sleep tonight, just go ahead and look at it. It'll be good.
Thanks, Luke. Any update for us, Elliot?
Just a question. I think our next meeting date might be during spring break.
It is.
Are we gonna have
I'll be here.
folks here?
I'll be here.
Got Donna. She's in. So Donna, AJ, Megan, Carson. Okay. Elizabeth, you said you'll be here?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, then. Cool. That's my
Spring
fourth
break.
check.
meeting. We'll do beach theme. Everybody bring a towel.
Otherwise,
Our next meeting is the March 11th at 5:45, and I will entertain a motion in a second to adjourn.
For a second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. We're adjourned at 6:34 p.m. Thanks, everyone. Great. Thank you.
Yeah.